sketched artwork after you've scanned it in as high res and create art prints ready to make multiple copies. This is a picture of the finished artwork. So if you took the scan, put it on a table, took a picture of it, which is not good enough to make high-end prints because it's just a picture of a picture. But what you want are high-end scanned of your art to make multiple prints of that artwork. So these two files, this is one scan and this is the other scan. What I want to do is take those two giant scans that are both TIFF files. They're actually massively huge. If I go to image, you can actually see the image size real quick. They're 5,000 pixels by 7,000 pixels for a resolution of 600. So these are very, very high-end, high-quality scans. So I'm taking these two scans and I want to merge them into one seamless photo. And to do that, I'm going to go to File, Automate, and then Photomerge. From that screen, I'm going to go to Browse and find those two files. And then you're going to hit OK. And Photoshop is going to take those two scans and it's going to do all the heavy lifting for you. It may take a little bit longer depending on your processing speed for your computer. But as you can see, it says it's creating seamless composition and it's just doing the work for you. So now they're both merged, and if you go to Layers, you'll see that it has the two photos and then it has a mask over the photos. If I turn this eyeball off, you'll see that one side completely disappears and the other side completely disappears. So I'm going to name these layers original right, if I can figure out my right and left. And this is original left. And I'm going to make a copy of these. The reason I'm going to do this is I want to have the original scans just to pull from, but I also want to merge them into one file so that I can seamlessly delete the background. So first thing I'm going to do is hold down Shift, select both of them, and drag them to the little plus sign here to make a duplicate. And then I'm going to turn these little eyeballs off to hide the originals. And for my new copies, as they're both highlighted here, I'm going to right-click, select, and I'm going to hit Merge Layers. So now I have one seamless layer. So if I turn that off, you'll see that it's all one file. If I turn the eyeballs back on here, you see the originals, you can still see the sides. So I'm going to be working from the merged copy now. And first thing I want to do is adjust the colors a little bit just to make it a little bit brighter. So I'm going to go to Adjustments, and you can hit the little sunshine, and you can increase on your brightness, go down on your contrast a little bit. And I think that looks pretty good. I mean, it doesn't really need much fixing to make it look like the original. But going back to my layers, I'm gonna, you'll see that there's a new layer here, the brightness and contrast adjustment. If you want to turn that off to look at the original again, you can always turn off the eyeball and see it's a little bit darker. So turn back on the eyeball. So I'm gonna click back on my original layer of the merged photos, and I'm gonna begin to delete the background. There are several tools to do this, but you'll find them over here. You've got your Lasso tool, Polygonal Lasso tool, Magnetic Lasso tool, and you have these other three, Magic Wand, Quick Selection, and the other Quick Selection tool, so the Object Selection. All of these will help you remove the background, and you choose these tools based off of how busy the background is. Although it's a solid white background, there are still some shading issues. If it was a logo file, if I choose the magic wand, I could easily just click the white and hit delete. In this case, when I click the white, it selects some of the autograph in the bottom, and it also doesn't get all of the shading. But in this case, I think it's actually pretty good, good enough for me to show you what to do next. So I'm going to, just for now, click this magic wand tool. I selected the white area, and I'm just going to hit this little tool right here that says Add Quick Mask. Whoops, sorry, I got to invert it first. So I'm going to go select Inverse, which selects the white background again, and then I'm going to hit this tool. So what that does is it removes the solid white background. Now in the area where it messed up the signature in the bottom, I can go into this quick mask. See, there's two different layers here. There's the original, and then there's the quick mask. You can see that it's highlighted now. And I can actually paint back on that background by using the brush tool. So if I turn on my brush tool, I make sure the black is the color that is the foreground. And I can paint, whoops, I need it to be white. Sorry, I'm gonna reverse it. White needs to be the foreground, so I'm gonna paint it back on. And it's okay if you mess up, like I just did. I could actually do this all the way around the house, and I'm like, oh, didn't mean to do that, and paint it back on. It's no big deal. And that's the cool thing about a quick mask, because you can add or subtract as much as you want. To change the size of your brush, you just right click and adjust the size. And you can adjust the softness of the brush as well. So if I want to zoom in, so Command plus, if I want to zoom in and change little bits around. By the way, if you do the letter X, it just reverses these colors. So by using a softer brush, I can make it not such a jagged edge of the white to the transparent and make it a little bit closer to the original drawing. And if I mess up again, all I do is hit X and it changes that color back to white, and I can paint it back on. So you can go around the edges, and if you see something off kilter that doesn't look like the original, you can paint those areas back on. But once you scan through here, so like right here, there's a missing area. I want to paint that back on. So you can scan through, just look super tedious at your work to paint the areas back on that you need. And again, I'm going to hit the letter X and paint off what I don't want there. And around the roof line looks really good. So right there, paint that off, paint it back on right there, and right here. There are other ways instead of the magic wand tool. If you want, you can use the Polygonal Lasso tool. That's my personal favorite, to just click around. So you would click around the shape, and it's super tedious and super time consuming, and you'd want to zoom in so you can see the details. But basically you just click all the way around, and when you get to the original, a little circle will appear on that tool. Click it, and then you have your traveling ant lines. So then you would go to select inverse and do that thing again with the quick mask. If you mess up, you don't want those traveling lines, it's Command D, or you go to select, deselect, and it gets rid of those lines. Okay, so last step, if I want to make this ready for print, I want to go to Image, and I'm going to go to Canvas Size, and that way I'm going to set the canvas, what my print size is. So I'm going to do width is 14 by 11. I'm going to hit OK. It's going to say it's smaller, no big deal, because it says some clipping will appear. I'm not really worried about that because there's no art on the edges. So I'm going to hit Proceed. And if you want to increase the size of the house, again, I'm choosing this layer. I'm going to drag at the corners and increase the size of the house to fill up more real estate on the canvas. You don't have to do that. That's just something I'm doing. And when you're ready, just hit Enter. If you are done at this point, this is a transparent background. You would go ahead and save your work as the TIFF file. If you want to re-add a white background, taking away that canvas because it's slightly discolored in areas, you can hit plus and go to Edit, Fill, and I'm going to do white, hit OK, and I'm going to move that layer all the way to the back. So now it is a solid white background. And then at that point, you would just go to Save As, and you would keep it as a TIFF file because it is such high resolution. And you would just, name it Final Print or whatever you want to name it. And on this, you would just keep going forward. The one thing that you need to keep in mind, you never want to save it as a JPEG because you would lose quality first and foremost. But secondly, if you want to keep the background transparent, by saving it to a JPEG, it re-adds that white background. So all that hard work would take away all that work. But you would just save it on this point. If you wanted to save it as a transparent background and say you're not ready for print, you just want to save it as a smaller file, you can remove that white background. And let's say I want to save it for the web or something like that. I can go to Save As, and you can change it to a PNG and save that way. This is a massive file, so you probably wouldn't put this on the web, but just to know the different varieties of how to save, you would hit OK, and it keeps that transparent background. But it's really important to know that if you save it as a JPEG, it re-adds that white background. Hope this helps.